Breaking news! Yes, my friends, you can celebrate. The Denver Broncos are in the middle of the playoff race, and that has me very excited. I confess that I have been very anxious and happy that this is happening. If you are also happy with the Denver Broncos resurgence, hit the like button. But only do this if you are a passionate fan. If possible, comment like this: Go Broncos! Let's go to the Super Bowl! With only a few weeks left in the regular season, every game feels like a must-win, and the team's chances of making the postseason depend on a delicate balance between their own performances and the results of other important matchups in the league. Today, we are analyzing the Broncos' current position in the playoffs, what is at stake, and how the numbers stack up for their chances of advancing in the AFC playoff picture. The Broncos find themselves in a three-way tie with the Ravens and Chargers, although they currently trail both due to head-to-head losses. That means the margin for error is slim, and the Week 15 matchup against the Indianapolis Colts has huge implications. According to the New York Times playoff calculator, a win against the Colts would catapult Denver's playoff chances to 89%, while a loss would see that number plummet to just 47%. For a team that hasn't tasted postseason action in years, the stakes couldn't be higher. It's not just about making the playoffs, though. The broader picture includes the development of quarterback Nix, who has shown potential in his first year leading the team. Securing a playoff spot in his rookie season would not only boost the team's short-term goals, but also set a strong foundation for the future. This game against the Colts, in that context, isn't just another regular season matchup. It's the biggest game for Denver since their Super Bowl run. Not in terms of sheer spectacle or hype, but in what it means for the team's trajectory and playoff hopes. Looking beyond the Broncos, fans are being urged to root against a handful of AFC competitors, particularly the Ravens, Chargers, and Colts. These teams are direct rivals in the battle for wild card spots, and any slip-ups by them could bolster Denver's path forward. As it stands, the Broncos' remaining schedule is far from easy. After facing the Colts, they'll take on the Chargers on a short week for Thursday Night Football, followed by a likely flexed game against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 17, before closing out the season at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. The numbers paint a stark picture of how crucial this week is for Denver. Losing to Indianapolis would make the Chargers game on Thursday even more vital, with playoff chances dipping to just 18% if Denver were to drop both contests. On the flip side, a win against the Colts simplifies the equation. It gives the Broncos breathing room, allowing them to potentially lose one of their final 3 games and still remain in playoff contention. From a tactical standpoint, this weekend's game against the Colts is a better opportunity for Denver to assert themselves compared to the uphill battle of beating the Chargers on the road on short rest. Indianapolis is hanging onto their own playoff hopes by a thread, and a loss this Sunday would likely knock them out of the picture entirely. For Denver, winning at home and capitalizing on this moment is essential to avoid placing all their postseason hopes on the more challenging matchups ahead. There's also a fascinating layer to this playoff race in terms of seeding. If Denver manages to win out, or if other results break their way, they could potentially climb as high as the 5th seed in the AFC. That would provide a much more favorable matchup in the first round of the playoffs, perhaps against the Pittsburgh Steelers, as opposed to facing a powerhouse like the Buffalo Bills or Kansas City Chiefs. Even a 6th seed would be a significant improvement, increasing the likelihood of a competitive and winnable playoff game. This isn't just about probabilities and numbers, though. There's an undeniable excitement among fans about the potential playoff scenarios. Imagine a first-round showdown between the Broncos and Russell Wilson's Pittsburgh Steelers. What a storyline that would be. Denver fans didn't get to see Wilson face his old team earlier this season, but a playoff meeting could provide the ultimate drama. Beyond the entertainment value, however, the priority for Denver is clear. Win against the Colts, keep the momentum alive, and set up a more favorable postseason path. What's remarkable is how much hinges on this weekend. The Colts game is not only a must-win for Denver, but also a chance to show that this team is capable of handling the pressure and delivering in high-stakes situations. As we look at the schedules for the Ravens and Chargers, it's clear they don't have easy paths either. Baltimore faces playoff teams like the Steelers and Texans, while the Chargers still have to play the Buccaneers and the Broncos themselves. These remaining games leave plenty of room for shifts in the standings, but none of that matters if Denver doesn't handle their business this week. Now, we've laid out the playoff picture, the rooting guide, and the stakes. Broncos fans, this is where we need your input. How confident are you in the team pulling off a win this Sunday? Do you think the Broncos have what it takes to secure a favorable playoff seed, or will the road ahead prove too daunting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned, because we're not done breaking this down yet. There's still more to unpack about how Denver can climb the ranks and make a legitimate postseason run. The Broncos' playoff aspirations don't just rest on the results of their own games. They're deeply intertwined with how their rivals perform in the coming weeks. Let's dive deeper into the scenarios that could shape Denver's postseason fate and why Week 15 is such a pivotal turning point. Looking at the Ravens and Chargers, both teams have challenging schedules ahead. Baltimore will face the Giants this week, followed by matchups with the Steelers, Texans, and Browns. While the Giants might seem like an easier opponent on paper, Lamar Jackson has shown the ability to handle weaker NFC teams with ease. It's unlikely Denver can count on a Giants upset, but crazier things have happened in December football. Meanwhile, the Chargers square off against the Buccaneers, who, despite an uneven season, have the firepower to pull off an upset. For Denver, rooting for losses by the Chargers is particularly important. A Chargers loss to the Buccaneers this week would significantly help the Broncos in their quest to climb up the wild card standings. If Denver wins against the Colts and the Chargers lose, the Broncos would have a much better chance of securing at least the 6th seed. In fact, calculations show that if Denver beats the Colts, the Ravens win their game, and the Chargers lose, the Broncos' chances of locking in the 6th seed rise to 34%. But let's dream a little bigger. If Denver continues to win and other results break their way, there's a path for them to secure the coveted 5th seed. A 5 seed would likely pit them against a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round, an exciting yet manageable matchup for Denver. This possibility hinges on multiple outcomes, including the Ravens dropping a game or two in their remaining schedule. While it's not entirely in Denver's control, each victory they secure increases the pressure on their rivals. A loss to Indianapolis, however, could derail all of this. Falling to the Colts would mean Denver enters the short week against the Chargers with their playoff hopes on life support. The odds would drop dramatically, and the team would need to not only win out, but also rely heavily on other teams faltering. That's a dangerous position to be in with just weeks left in the season. As the old saying goes, control what you can control. And for Denver, that starts by taking care of business on Sunday. The Broncos' schedule itself is daunting. After the Colts, the Thursday night clash against the Chargers looms large, but it also brings the potential for a big payoff. Beating the Chargers on national television could not only enhance Denver's playoff positioning, but also serve as a statement win for a team that has been fighting to prove it belongs in the postseason conversation. After that, the likely flexed matchup against Cincinnati could become one of the season's marquee games. The Bengals, despite their struggles earlier this year, are always dangerous, particularly in late-season scenarios. Denver will need to bring their A-game to avoid a misstep that could cost them dearly. The season finale against the Kansas City Chiefs is another major hurdle. Despite their inconsistencies, the Chiefs have continued to find ways to win, and their rivalry with the Broncos has been lopsided in recent years. However, if Denver enters that game with momentum and a playoff berth on the line, anything is possible. It's worth noting that the Chiefs themselves are fighting for seeding, which could influence how seriously they approach the game if their own playoff position is secure by then. Broncos fans, it's your turn. What's your confidence level heading into the game against Indianapolis? Do you believe this team has the grit to push through the challenges and secure a playoff spot? Or are you more focused on the long-term development of Knicks and this team's future potential? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to stick around. We'll keep you updated every step of the way as this playoff race unfolds.